Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall with your next Photoshop project tutorial. This one will be the My Name project, and remember this one is a project, not classwork. Classwork is when I provide you exercise files. When it's a project, I don't give you any exercise files. You get to create the content on your own, practicing all the techniques that we've learned so far. So you'll be using a handful of the techniques we've been practicing so far in Photoshop to create the effect of you with your name. Something like this. So you're going to take a photo, or you're going to have someone take a photo of you. You're going to add your text and weave through it and create burn shadows. Everything we've been practicing in the last few lessons, we're going to put it all together with your own shot of you and your name. So the first thing you're going to need, as you can imagine, again, taking the cameras, have a partner take a photo of you so that you're going to use as your starting file. When you take a photo, a couple things to keep in mind. Make sure your face is being shown. First thing, don't take a picture of the back of your head. I want to see that it's your face. You can have it turned to the side or not looking straight at the camera, but we must see your face. Secondly, it must be a full body shot like this. Must see your entire body from head to toe, so we don't want to cut off anything so we can see everything. We can create the shadow. And we also want you to take up space in the photo. Don't take a shot where you're really tiny down here. That would be a bad example. You can see me here as a full shot where I'm taking up as much space in the photo as I possibly can, leaving room for the words, but I'm big in this photo, and that's what we want. The last thing is to strike a pose where your arms and legs are extended somehow. It could be like mine, or it could be like some of the other practice files where someone's jumping and kicking, but you need your limbs extended in a certain way so you can have your text weaving through, like mine here. If you're just standing still with your arms at your sides, you won't be able to weave yourself through the text. So it must be a fun, exciting pose where your arms and legs are extended. Okay, so you're going to have a partner take a photo of you like that, and then you'll take one of them, bring your photo into Photoshop. And the other thing is you're going to need to download a photo of a fun, exotic location to put yourself in. You're not just going to keep the photo. You're going to cut yourself out and paste yourself in somewhere else. So take your photo and bring it into Photoshop like this. So here's the original photo that was taken of me, and then also bring in a photo that you've downloaded. So this one, you could download one off the internet, put yourself wherever you'd like, on the moon, at Disneyland, somewhere else other than here on campus. This is where you're going to place yourself. So the first thing you're going to is select yourself. So I've already done that part, but use the quick selection tool to select yourself out super clean. If it's not perfectly clean at first, that's okay. That's what the select and mask is for. So we are going to add a layer mask after we've selected ourselves. You can see here is my layer mask right there. It's not bad, but as always, after you do that, go in, use selected mask to clean it up. Especially around the hair, there might be some areas where it needs cleaning up. Let's use our refine edge and just lightly go over it right there. Again, this will depend on yours. Double check the hair specifically. That way all your little hair strands come out, but also just double check the whole thing. I can see I need to fix my ear right there. That's looking better. Good. Excellent. So make sure that you have a fairly clean mask, and then you're going to move yourself onto your new background. So once you've added your other background, find an image, download it, bring it in Photoshop, and then you're going to move yourself over there. You can either copy paste, or I like to just drag and drop and bring myself in right there. Yes. And you'll need to adjust size. Before you adjust the size, your photo will probably be a lot bigger. We need to convert it into a smart object. So on your layer of yourself, you're going to right click, convert to smart object, and then you're going to add another mask to it. So even though you've masked it out originally, once you convert it into a smart object, we're going to add another mask. So now it's a smart object with a mask. And now we can adjust the size to fit wherever we want. Again, make sure you take up space in the photo. You should be taking up as much space as possible. Don't have a shot where you're way down here. Nothing like that. We want big room so we can see our shadow and weave ourselves through our name very easily. All right, so a lot of this is going to be familiar. I'm just going to show you how you're going to put it all together. Everything we've done, we've practiced before. So the first thing we're going to do is you may need to add a levels adjustment depending on where you go. So if you move yourself somewhere else and now your lighting doesn't match, you can use the levels adjustment layer. So click on your layer, go down to your adjustment layers, and go to levels. This is something we did all the way back in the beginning. And now we can adjust the level intensity of the shot. I only want it to affect me. You can see how it's affecting the entire shot right now. I don't want it to do that, so I'm going to add a clipping mask to clip it just to my layer, and that's it. So with the levels selection, we're going to go up to layer and then do create clipping mask. That's something we did a long time ago when we did our name through the background. What that does is it clips it so it only affects the layer underneath it. So now if I adjust the levels, it's only affecting me and not the image as a whole. So you should add a levels adjustment so you can adjust it to make sure the lighting matches the environment. Because if you're in a bright photo and then your background is a dark photo, you'll need to make some adjustments so they look like they match together. All right, that's perfect, looking good. All right, now what you're going to do is now we're going to add our text. So let's add our text with our type tool. Go to your type tool, click, and then start typing your first name in all capitals. I will do my last name since I'm your teacher, but I want you to do your first name. Again, just like we did before with the burn shadow and the text weaving, make sure the text color is either white or a light color. Do not use a dark colored font for the text. And let's make it nice and big so we can weave ourselves through it like that. And you could even do what I did in the example if you want to adjust it. If you hover your mouse over the corner, you see I have this double arrow. If I hover it over the corner, it turns into this curve arrow, and now I can click and drag and I could rotate it if I want to do it that way. You can bring it like this. Again, you want it going across your body so you can find cool points for it to weave through your limbs, through your arms and legs. So I like it like that. That's looking good. And now all we need to do to get started is to start weaving it is to bring that text layer between the background and our layer right here. So I'm going to rename this layer to McDougall so I know that's layer is me. So let's take our text layer and let's bring it down between me and the background right there. So now, right now it looks like it's behind me. Excellent. Now, before we start weaving, let's add our burn shadow. We can add our shadow to ourselves and our text. We can add a whole one that makes it look like the text is also floating and creating a shadow. So we're going to add our burn layer to our background, but we don't want to permanently damage the background layer. So first we're going to create a copy. So let's highlight our background layer and then Control J to make a copy. I'm going to rename this one shadow. And it helps to rename your layers so you know exactly which one is which. If you just have a bunch of layers that say copy or background, it's going to be confusing. Renaming them really helps you know which one you're editing. So now we have our shadow. Let's grab our burn tool, which if you don't see yours should be with the dodge tool. You might see one right here, but it's grouped up with the dodge tool and the sponge tool. We want the burn tool. And this one is a brush, so we can adjust the brush size. Make sure the hardness is all the way down. You want a nice soft shadow. If its hardness is 100, the shadow is not going to look real. And then your brush size will need to adjust depending on your setting, where you are in the photo. So I'm going to say right about here. And then just start lightly brushing on the copy to create the shadow. This way. See, the more I brush, the darker it gets. Right there. You can see if I turn this layer on and off where my shadow is so far. Remember, you want it to be darker where your body parts are closer to the ground, and we're just very lightly brushing out this way. And I'm going to even extend it just slightly out that way to make it look like the words themselves are casting a shadow. Just a little bit, light little clicks, just like that. And I'm going to have it darker. The darkest spot will be right here where my foot touches the ground, and then slightly darker over here where my other foot is almost touching the ground. So now you can see there is a shadow right here being cast from not only me, but the words themselves. Okay, now let's start weaving ourselves through our text. So this part is going to be completely up to you. You will not do this the same way that I do, obviously, because you will have a different pose and a different name. But when you do that, let's go to our mask. Go back to the layer view. Make sure you have your mask selected and your brush tool. Go to the brush tool, or B is the shortcut to use your brush. And this is where you will paint on your mask either black or white to hide and reveal the parts of your body that you don't want to see. So let me zoom in. Let's say right here, for example, that I'm going to stick my arm through the letter G right here. Remember, paint with black to hide it on your mask, and you can just switch back and forth. Click this little button to reset in case your colors are not set to black and white. And this is where you're just going to have to experiment with the brush size and the brush hardness to get it the way you like. So if I start brushing, make sure I switch to black. If I start brushing right here, you can see I could start brushing my arm behind the letter, right about there. If I start brushing too far, I go like that, but that's okay. That's an easy fix. I can always undo, or I can just paint it with white again. If I just start brushing with white, I can start bringing it back. So this is where, again, you got to be really careful. Zoom in if you have to. Get as close as you possibly can. Make it look convincing. Right there. That was good. So now I'm going through the letter G. I could do the same thing over here. I can make it look like I'm going through the O and the D. Oh, brushing with white. Got to switch back. Switch back to black. And now I can start brushing like this. And experiment with your brush hardness. You may want to set it to really hard, like 100%, because if it's soft, it's going to start doing this soft brush like that, and it's not going to look convincing. You want it to be hard to make those nice hard lines where it goes behind the letters. So you might want to set it to 100 or close to 100. Sit right about there. That looks good. Little small clicks. So if you have to undo or backtrack, you can just do one little step. Let's go back to white so I could fix this part again. There we go. Right there. And then let's switch back to black again so I can, switch back to black so I can do this part. Now it makes it look like I'm going through the D and the O. Nice and easy. Oh, see, I went too far. That's okay. Just use black. My brush size might be too big. I might need to switch and make my brush size a little bit smaller. Here we go. Nice and easy. Here we go. Get it as clean as you can. Try to get those little gaps right there. And again, yours will look different depending on your background, your name, and your position. So that's how I've decided to weave mine for right now. Again, you can see I'm interacting with the text. It looks like I'm weaving through the letters. Yours will be the same, just depending on what letters are in your name and what pose you're doing. But try to weave your arms and or your legs through your text. All right, the last thing we're going to do is add a burn shadow to the text itself to make it look like I'm casting a shadow on the text layers as it floats through me. So now we're going to go to our text and we're going to use the burn tool on this one. However, remember that we cannot use the burn tool on text until we've rasterized it and converted it into a normal layer that is non-text. So make sure your text is the way you like it, because once you rasterize it, you will not be able to change your text. So make sure you have it exactly the way you like it. I like mine. Then we will now right click on it and we will do rasterize type. And then we will now use the burn tool on the text itself. You may have to switch up here to highlights because it might not show if the text is white, which it should be. You may not see the burn tool effect unless you're on highlights up here with the burn tool. So now we'll zoom in. There we go. And adjust your brush size again to just brush the type layer now to make it look like our body is casting a shadow. So I'm just going to very lightly brush right here. Very lightly. You don't want to brush too hard or it's going to get a dark shadow real fast and you won't be able to undo that. So just very lightly brushing right there. It's not affecting me because I'm only on the text layer. So it's not affecting my body at all. And then let's go through wherever your body overlaps the text. You want to brush right there. So I can see the text is behind my arm right there. Maybe right here. Light little clicks, just a very subtle shadow. Looks good. Same thing right here. Anywhere that your body overlaps to make it look, again, more three-dimensional. Right there. Behind my neck. You can still see the text, but again, everything with a shadow just makes it look more 3D. Let's go right here. From this arm. Super light. Not going crazy. And I want it to look like a convincing shadow. I'm not going to use a drop shadow for this because that will look weird. There we go. All right. So now that is looking good. We have all the elements that we were practicing in the past few lessons. We used our layer mask. We used a burn shadow down here. We use our type with our text. You can see where my mask is hiding right there. And here's me with me weaving through the text and then my levels adjustment to make sure I look convincing in the area and not flat like this. So that's everything you're going to add to your text. One other thing that does come up, a question I get, is can I have more than one person in the text or in the image? Yes, if you would like to do a photo with you and your friend, you can have both of you in the shot. However, the only thing is that you need to weave between both of your names. So you need to have one of your names on the top or the bottom, and then both of them. So you have to fit both names in here, so you're weaving through each person's name that's in the photo. Don't go crazy. Don't do more than 2 people. Just do 2. Don't do 3, 4, or 5. That would be too many. You wouldn't be able to fit that many, but you can do 2 people at once if you would like. But just add both of your names and repeat all of these same elements to add yourselves wherever you like with the convincing shadows weaving through the text in a fun pose. As always with projects, you do not take a screenshot of this. You're going to export your final project as a JPEG. So do not take a screenshot when it comes to projects. That's only practice classwork. So for this one, go to File, Export, Export As. Make sure this is set to JPEG, which it should be. You will not need to change anything else. You don't need to change quality or any other settings. Just go now to Export. And let's export it into our folder where your original picture should be. So here's the My Name one, and this one will be My Name. Save. And now if I go to that folder, I'll be able to see it. My Name, here it is right here. So this is what you are going to turn in, this exported JPEG of your beautiful artwork with you weaving through your name. And then once you've completed that, that's what you will turn in right here. So take that exported file, turn it in right here. And as always, have fun. Let me know if you have any questions. I can't wait to see what you create.